We want to tell you about an escalation in the political fight over immigration. Dozens of apparent migrants landed by charter flight on a rocky island in the Atlantic, Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. This was yesterday afternoon. They arrived as part of what Governor Ron DeSantis calls a relocation program. Many did not know where they were going, and local officials on the island were not given any advance notice of the flight's arrival. Nick Giovanni of our Boston station WBZ is in Woods Hole, that's just across the water from Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. Nick, good morning.
Tony, good morning to you. This is one of the ferry terminals here on Cape Cod that takes passengers to Martha's Vineyard, and it is there this morning where those migrants are waking up in at least 2 shelters that we know of following an island-wide response to their arrival. Volunteers on Martha's Vineyard found themselves scrambling to find shelter, food, water, and other services to accommodate the unforeseen arrival of 50 migrants, including the elderly and children, flown there as part of a relocation plan originated by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Martha's Vineyard Community Services had 50 people sort of literally walk up to their front door.
Witnesses say the group wandered some 3 miles from the airport into Edgartown. Once in town, the migrants were met by volunteers who brought them to a high school where they were fed and later transported by school bus to a church to stay for the night. Authorities sent out urgent pleas on social media asking for volunteers to help with an urgent humanitarian situation. Barbara Rush worked into the night helping the families at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church.
From what we found out by talking to the people, they're originally from Venezuela. They were flown here. We're not sure what plane brought them here or how they got on a plane to here.
Volunteers said they were told by some of the migrants they did not know where they were, or were told they would be given housing and jobs. A statement from a DeSantis spokesperson read in part, Massachusetts, New York, and California will better facilitate the care of these individuals who they have invited into our country by incentivizing illegal immigration through their designation as sanctuary states. Since the spring, Republican governors in Texas and Arizona have transported several thousand migrants and asylum seekers to New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., all cities with Democratic mayors. Yet, unlike those major cities, these arrivals aren't met with migrant resources and services like immigration courts, where their asylum cases can be heard.
Immigrants who were told that they would be greeted here with a place to stay and with jobs.
Massachusetts State Representative Dylan Fernandez arrived on the island Wednesday and called the move by the DeSantis government to transport migrants there with seemingly no coordination, quote, evil.
They're using children as political pawns, but the island community has really rallied together.
In addition to food and shelter, migrants were also tested for COVID and were all negative, we're told. Now, as for Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, who's also a Republican, his office told us the state will continue to support the short-term sheltering services provided to those migrants. That reporting from Woods Hole, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Nick Giovanni. Tony, back to you in New York.
Nick Giovanni for us from WBZ there, our partners in Massachusetts. A story unlike any I'm sure you or your station's ever covered. Thank you very much. This has not happened in this way before.
Right.
There's been a crisis at the border for multiple decades. Congress, multiple presidents have not solved that crisis. There's been busing to Chicago, to D.C., to New York. The difference here is that Martha's Vineyard is a tiny island of 15,000 people without an ICE court, without an infrastructure that can handle an influx like this, without social services in place.
Let alone on late notice.
Yeah, late notice.
Yeah, like no notice.
No notice.
So,
yeah, it's just...
You know, ultimately they're probably going to end up in Boston, but, you know, it's a change. That's why we call it an escalation off the top. This is a shift in strategy.
I thought the word inhumane was a good one to use in this particular case. The people don't know where they're going. The people that are there don't know you're coming.
Right.
It's good to see, though, that they're being welcomed and that people are trying to help them.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Volunteers.
Exactly. I've been to Martha's Vineyard many times. It's a great, great place, but at least give people some notice so they can prepare.
Yeah, prior to this, best known for where they shot Jaws. But
Yes.
I don't, it's not the end of the story. This is going to continue, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.